Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is a weekend review for the week ending April 21st, 2023. OPEX for the month of April is behind us. An inside week. Go figure. That's what happens on OPEX. Stuck between a rising 5 and a declining 80. Zooming into the daily, you can see right up here against this trendline resistance. PPO and histogram have been screaming top since this high here on April 4th. Now, what I'm anticipating is the range trading to continue. Okay? Can't get above 414, then you're going to pull back and try to put in another higher low relative to 380. That's where we're at. No need to overthink it. Zooming into the non-confirmation that was talked about in the last video. IWM not participating. I mean, just the distribution continues. Price is stuck. Hasn't really gone anywhere, just like all the majors. This one's below all the moving averages, though. Well, less the 5. Unavoid. I'm not touching this. To me, looks like a triangle. Should get one more rally before another impulsive leg lower. Again, avoid. So small caps not confirming. Transports kind of are confirming, which is very interesting because they are above all the moving averages. And this looks fine. So it's IWM that just does not make any sense here. And that is not confirming QQQ. I mean, take a look at the Qs. Above all the moving averages. This structure looks fine. This momentum looks very healthy. ADX rising with PPO and price. And the histogram is very bullish. There's no rollover look. Right? None of that. So we just have a bull flag structure. There's 3 inside weeks. A, B, C, looking to break the low of 312 and then reverse. It would be unlikely for EMA 5 and SMA 10 not to provide a bid based on ADX being at 30, PPO being at 2, and the histogram being positive. So this configuration, the reason I have all these things on this configuration is suggesting that this bull flag pattern at some point gets continuation and rallies anywhere from 350 to 360, possibly even filling this gap up here. Another very strong ETF is SMH. Same view as QQQ. Stair-stepping higher. Bull flag would be very, very odd if you didn't see a continuation higher based on ADX being above 30, PPO and histogram being positive, okay, and price being above all the moving averages. Now, I will say this week you did get a close essentially below the 10 and the 5, but you closed right at them, and this is an inside bar, all relative to the week from March 27th. All inside the low of 246.43 and the high of 263. It's telling us it's building energy, trying to find supply. Zoom into the daily. You can see we've broken this uptrend. Okay, so this is a bit of a red flag for the semis. But what we would expect to see is this resistance. What was captured here is held here. So what does that mean? The downside risk for the semis is 10% from current price. We do not expect price to get below the 200. And quite frankly, you would expect price to hold the 50, having just put in the 50 bull cross over the 200. When you get that, it's generally a short-term top, which is essentially what we've had, but a long-term bottom, which is also what we've had. Okay, and if you look at the structure here, all we have is a bull flag, and we would expect, since we got above the high here and couldn't hold it, we'd expect to pull back to 233. That's it. And that dip is to be bought. And momentum will get negative and stay negative until this range breaks. Zooming into the financials, just put in a death cross, usually signals a short-term bottom, long-term top, meaning this is the top for a while. You zoom into the weekly, and what do we see? Bulls holding the 200. So this to me is not broken yet. And if the financials aren't broken yet, then neither is the market. Take a look at XLE. This thing looks like it's under heavy distribution, not one for me. Looking like a triangle, which is telling me that the party's almost over. We had a zigzag back here. Now we've got a triangle, which is telling us we've got one more push higher. They go in three. One, the second one being the biggest, two, and the third one generally equaling one. Okay, so that's what we're looking for here in energy names. And if you look at some of the leaders in the energy sector, ExxonMobil continues to stay basically where it was a year ago. Right, going back one full year, this thing has appreciated $10. That's awful. When you have names like NVDA, go back 1 year, appreciated 30%. But zooming in here, we're looking, this is a wave 3. It's in motion. Histogram is telling us that, histogram ADX are telling us that buy the dip is still in play. You see the EMA5 SMA 10 bull cross that happened back here in January. That's continued to provide a bid ever since. This thing's sitting right here at demand. If this level fails to break or fails to hold and breaks, you would expect PPO to come back down to the 0 line, maybe go negative, put in a higher low relative to -2, and find a bid at the rising 50 right here around 250. Another name we've been playing a lot recently, CROX, just absolute monster. You pull up the weekly and you can see why this name continues to get bought. Pull up the monthly, PPO cross. That's why this name gets bought. Go look at NVIDIA. Same thing. So NVIDIA and CROX are the only two stocks that I should have right now. Yeah, pretty much. Unless that monthly looks like this, and the ADX on the monthly looks like this, then yeah. Cause look, hey, look at SPY. SPY doesn't look like that. QQQ doesn't look like that. Maybe they will in a few months, and that's why the stocks tend to lead. I'll throw another one in there, ENPH. So ENPH isn't like that yet, but sitting at the 200. EMA5 SMA 10 bull cross just happened on the weekly. Histogram is flipping positive, which is a buy signal. ADX is near a trough, which is telling us that there isn't a lot of trend right now. Zoom into the daily, and you can see this thing just captured the 50 resistance, captured any pullback to the 50 or the 20 is for buying. 215 being a great place to add. That's where I'm looking to add. Took profit in Riot. This one looks done to me. Rallied into the weekly 200, then put in a reversal candle, pulling back to the 5. So the way that I'm looking at this is I want to see it come back to the 10, come back to this breakup candle low around $9 sometime in the next few weeks, and this thing to just do this. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, going to do something like this. Okay, so either way, I took profit. I got in right here on this entry. Nice little breakout, nice clear former resistance, throwback setup. Got a nice rally, got my sell signal right here on this day. Okay, took profits here, never looked back. Nice little trade. I want to point out, we talked about OII before, but look, see the throwback here, breakout above, right? Pull back to it, held, and then instantly gave it up. This is a bull trap, okay? That's what this looks like. This is a bull trap. And momentum is telling me that the bears are in charge and to look for something like this, all the way back in that $13 range. So this is a nice little setup on OII that probably won't be ready until the summer or, June, for that matter. Let's take a look at some of the intermarket relationships. So like SPY versus bonds, for example, equities still favored over bonds. Okay. SPY versus gold, equities still favored over gold. No super performance in either direction is really what this is telling me, because we've basically gone sideways for a year. Equities versus the dollar just issued a buy signal, captured the 50 and the 200, did the throwback bit, did the bear trap bit, off to the races, momentum, histogram positive. This looks like it has more in the tank. Equities being favored over the dollar, and that has changed ever since October. So now that we know that equities are favored over the dollar, let's take a look at bonds on the weekly chart, and you can see why. I mean, this just cannot get above the 50. It's an avoid. Gold, on the other hand, momentum looks great. Could have just put in a 5-wave move on the daily, just as everyone on FinTwit is talking about it. We'll put in something like this, pull back to here, and then we leave. Hard to say. All I know is that doesn't look good. And when price, approaches this triple top, whatever you want to call it, it's a sell, especially as FinTwit is finding this. So everyone on Twitter was extremely bullish gold. If you go back to last week, and now we closed below that week low and pulled back to the 5. So we'll see what happens here, but this to me is a 5-wave structure that's complete, and we are done with gold. We are looking for gold to pull back. And if you look at the dollar, you can see why we kind of are done with the dollar being weak. Daily flipped up, divergences everywhere. Weekly is trying to put in a bullish divergence, but could not flip the histogram positive. Very interesting here, and is finding resistance at a declining 20, a declining 5, and a declining 10. That's very bearish. And as a result, I'm not expecting much from gold, but what I will say is sentiment got extremely bearish gold, and really all you have is kind of just a range to trade within. Okay? And ranges are good. This here is bad. Ranges, they're good. Let's throw the ball around. TNX pulled back to the 50 on the weekly. PPO finally got to 0, just like we had right here. So rates could be going higher here again. We'll just have to wait and see. Just a huge range, right? That's what we got. And the monthly, which has fueled this entire thing, is rolling over. Okay, so if rates are putting in a top and rolling over, and histogram is getting negative for the first time since January 2021, we should be looking for lower prices, a pullback to here, a pullback to here, which means we should be looking for higher prices in bonds, because the two work inversely, but we don't have it yet. Okay, so it's just an awareness at this point, something to keep an eye on as we move forward. I'm trying to think if there were any other big names that we were playing. Not really. You just need a few. I know a lot of people are looking at Tesla. Came into the 50 on the monthly, rallied up, and now seems to be losing the 50. But I will say PPO got to 0. That's exactly what you want to see. And then you need to see it flip up, and that's just what we haven't seen yet. And so this does look a bit scary to me. If in fact you are bullish, you are looking for a long-term low down here on Tesla. Okay, somewhere around this range. Netflix is another one that we traded here. Came up here into target 1. PPO resetting to 0. The higher low is 271. But yeah, that's about it. I'm going to try to keep it short. I just want to leave you, with NVIDIA. It just takes a few stocks that do stuff like this, okay? You don't need to own all of them. You just need a few of them, and cut the ones that aren't doing stuff like this. And this to me, I mean, I just want to highlight this one more time. Like, look how clean of a trend that is. The 5 and the 10, the yellow and the orange line, and the separation between the two, with the structure, with the pattern here, telling me that this is a bottoming pattern and to be looking for higher prices for quite some time. Okay, and ADX confirmed the breakout. I just want, like, there are easy trends to follow. While this is not in an easy market. This isn't an easy market right now, guys. I just want to point that out. Markets that go nowhere are not easy. Okay? This is an easy trend to follow. And no one wants to buy NVIDIA for whatever reason. So, that being the case, I continue to focus heavily on NVIDIA, heavily on CROX, and these two names having everything exactly the same in common. The left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, histogram doing what it's supposed to do, monthly doing that whole buy signal bit, all-time highs, coming off of all-time highs for all of these charts. It's entirely possible they set another all-time high, right, while continuing to set this bearish divergence. And it comes in threes. Here's your 1, here's your 2, here's your 3, here's your 4, and here's your 5, right? First thrust higher here, second thrust higher here, and we're on the third one now. So that's it. Try to find these monster trends, ride them until they're done. Don't guess. Wait to get the sell signal on the monthly. Recognize that when you get these buy signals on the monthly, they last for a long time. This is a buy signal on the monthly. It should not be ignored, and it came before the buy signals on the monthly for the majors. And really right now on SMH, all we're doing is just coming back and testing the 20 on the monthly after recapturing it, which is extremely bullish. So any pullback to 240, 242, 243 for SMH is a buy. And again, NVIDIA and the rest of the names within that ETF are leading. But NVIDIA is the one that I believe objectively is leading the pack. So if you like that content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week.